let's go back here. Okay, so this is really the Build and Social Coach training. And for those of you who are new, these are the kind of the camp rules, the protocol for it. This is a link to WhatsApp. That is what we use behind the scenes to communicate. For those of you who, and this is specifically for the Build coaches, this link here is a Build coach link to WhatsApp. So this slide deck will be available to you in the training folder, which has been shared with you prior. So you will be able to go up there, look through this slide deck and actually click this link. If you don't already belong to the group, you can click the link and it'll enable you to either join WhatsApp if you don't have an account, or it'll be able to allow you to join the group itself. Naming conventions for Zoom, your first name, and I don't care what order it is in. I mean, your first name, last name, I do. I don't care if it says BAC 5 or 5 BAC, we'll figure that out. As long as somewhere in what you've given us, we know that you are an adult or a junior, an A or a J, that you're a coach versus a camper. They will just have their room number, and we're going to ask them to just put their room number after their name, and then your breakout room. And that makes it easy in case we have issues with the pre-assigned breakouts. It makes it easier for us to get people into their breakout rooms. Yeah, Heidi.
Sorry, so last camp, you wanted us to know if we were a Build or a social coach.
You know, I don't think that's as relevant this camp, but you can keep it. If you have it there, that's fine. Just keep it there. You don't need to worry about changing it otherwise, because we have afternoon coaches too, workshop coaches. And I just want to know that you're an adult coach or a junior coach, so that if I need an adult to put in a room, which is one of our other requirements, we have 1 adult per 10 kids, 10 minors. And so it's really important that we maintain that kind of ratio so that we have an adult in the room who can be responsible for what's going on in that room. If you're also a workshop coach and you know what your number is, you can add that at the end. So AC 27/9 or, 27-9, I don't care. And then the who's in charge. And that really goes back to who's the adult in the room. There will be an adult in the room. Just because they're in charge, that just means they're going to be responsible for delivering on the mission. That doesn't mean they have to do everything. Okay, so if they are not as comfortable using Zoom or sharing their screen, then they're going to designate somebody else to do that for them or to do that for the team. So it's going to be, just because they're the adult in the room doesn't mean that they do everything. Let's just remember that. And we already kind of reviewed the schedule, but for, as I mentioned before, a lot of this has to do more with who's going to be doing what in the rooms, and really take a look at this schedule, familiarize yourself with the content that is in. If you're a Build coach, that's in green, the content that's in red. If you are a social coach, because that's what you're going to be working on. And social coaches, after we're through with this, the combined training today, we'll go in and talk a little bit more about what you're going to be doing during the orientation, because you're going to really be taking the lead in the orientation versus the Build coach, which is tomorrow. And you'll be taking the lead as we get going in the rooms during the camp on Monday. Any questions about that? Okay, let me close this one out, go back here. And I think that maybe we talked about, I do actually have some slides that were shared by another coach. I'm going to make them available in the training resources also. One of the coaches from the prior camp gave us some tips, things every social coach needs to know, and I will make sure that I share them during the social coach training center. I guess this is more for workshop coaches. Those are workshop coaches. So let me stop sharing there. And what we're going to try and, one more thing. Let me share. So we're going to send you into breakouts. And when you're in breakouts, what we're going to ask you to focus on is figuring out who's going to do what. And so that will be driven by the camp duties. And it's called coach duties. And I'm going to share that in the chat box. So what I'm going to ask you to do when I put it in the chat box is for the social coaches in any room to please bring drag a copy of this into your room with you when you go. So copy, paste it into your browser, and then hang on to it for when I put you into breakout rooms.
A really quick couple of things I want to mention too is for build coaches especially, but it goes for all coaches, but especially build coaches. If you can, please try to have a doc cam of some sort. You don't need to buy one. You can if you want to, but your phone will work. You can look up tutorials online of how to do that, but it's really, really useful for building things so that your campers can see exactly what you're doing. There won't be any confusion about what a pin is, which pin to put a certain wire in. It makes things a lot easier. And when your campers are having problems, because they will inevitably have problems when they build their circuits, you can see, okay, let me show you my breadboard, my Arduino. Does it look the same as mine? And you can go from there. And also, I was going to mention the blurring of the backgrounds too.
Oh yeah, good point. Good point. So make sure you have the latest version of Zoom, which enables you to blur your background. Especially in the morning sessions, because we are potentially videotaping or filming or taking a picture, and we want to make sure that there's no images in your background that potentially could interfere with copyright, because it's a work of art or a personal image. So like Joanne's, yours with AAUW all over the place, that's perfect, thank you. You know, that kind of thing is fine. And then the blurring is a feature from the latest version of Zoom.
And I just want to add really quickly about the blur feature. If you don't know how to get the blur feature, I do have a video on that. It's on our AAUW YouTube, but I can also link it in the chat.
Yeah, why don't you link that in the chat too?
Yeah, link it. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Can I
Yes, Heidi.
say something? So the blur feature is what I've got in my background. You can't see my background. And if I switch it up, then suddenly you can see all the photos on my behind me. So the idea is that if we're in the main room or if we're recording anything, you want the blur. But a lot of times when we're in the breakout rooms and the campers are trying to show us something, or we're trying to show the camper something, it gets blurred in the background. So
Yeah,
when that happens, we have to sometimes unblur to show things.
Right. And we were doing that earlier, trying to show the green screen with an LED circuit, and it's like, how come it's blurry? Oh, because it's blurred. You have to turn the blur feature on. So Ellie, if you're not sure where that is, if you click next to where it says stop video, there's a little down arrow or an up arrow next to stop video in the bottom of your.
Yep, got it.
And if it says choose virtual background, if you click that, there should be a none, and right next to none, if you have the latest version, it should say blur.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All right, I did it. We'll see if it worked.
let's see. I'm looking to see where you are. Let's see, where'd you go? So another thing, this came up the other day. We were talking about this, but we totally lost you, Ellie. So you have to share your video again. Try that.
Right.
Sometimes you click your
There you
video
go.
off at the same. Yeah, there.
Oh,
Well, you actually got a virtual background, but
Right.
it's nice. I like it.
nice. Now I know how to do that, but you want me to blur. I didn't.
Yeah,
see-
right next to none, there should be something that says blur. If it doesn't, then you probably don't have the latest version of
I
Zoom.
don't have the latest Zoom.
Yeah. So, and that's okay. I mean, you get it. It doesn't
I
take
like
much
this.
to download it. Yeah, that is kind of cool. The other thing is, as a coach in the room, we were doing the workshop coach training the other night, and I noticed at one point we had about half the people in the room were off video. And which is fine if you want to do that through the training. But when it comes time to actually being in the room with the girls, you need to be the role model you want them to be. So you need to model the behavior that you want them to do. And that means you don't go off video for the most part, especially if you want to try and keep them engaged. And so if they see that you're off video, they're going to think it's okay to go off video. And I'm here to tell you, you probably shouldn't do that. Husband taking the trash cans in. Okay, so what this will lead to is for each room, you're going to have the ability, this is just a Google slideshow, you're going to have the ability to decide who's going to do what of certain tasks that need to be done. And this is located, didn't I just put that? Yeah, I did put it in the link. So what you can do is go to on the main page here, you can click this, it says deleted slide. Well, just find it in the slide deck. Find your room in the slide deck. It's in numeric order. And make sure that if there's nobody else in your room but you can sign everybody else whose name is on the roster. You can sign them up for everything and you don't have to sign up. How's that? That's the deal. You volunteer them that that's what they're going to do. But try and get to it. We'll come around as we go through breakout rooms and we'll see where y'all are at in terms of how many people are in your breakout rooms tonight. Some people weren't going to be able to make it, and we'll see what happens. All right, I'm going to go ahead and try and see if we can go into breakout rooms and see what happens. This is always my favorite part. I'm going to leave the room open now for till 6 o'clock so that you can work things out. And then social coaches, you want to come on back. I'm going to bring you back in here to the main room. Build coaches, if you have any questions or you want to come back and hear what we're saying to the social coaches for the rest of the session, those who are new especially, you're welcome back. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow night at about 4:15 for the orientation session. Any questions before I send you into breakout?
I actually have a question.
Hi, Kennedy.
Hello. My question was, this Zoom meeting is like recorded, but if I want to rewatch this meeting, how can I access it?
So what I'll do is the slideshow that we went through tonight, I'm going to embed this recording at the end of that slideshow, and I will put it in the training folder.
Okay.
So when you click on the link for the training folder that is either in your countdown and I think I sent an updates out with some training in it. When you click at the top level of that, it will be in there in the build and social coach training folder.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question about the Zoom blurring. So I've updated my Zoom and I've tried to look online for this as well, but I do not have access to the blur filter.
What kind of phone is it? It may be related. It may be related to your. It may be related to your phone type. So you know, that's probably the only thing I can say.
I'm on a I'm on a Windows PC, so I should have it, but
Well, that's kind of
I'm
strange because I'm
fully-
looking at your picture and your picture looks like a phone picture that's turned straight instead of sideways. It looks like an iPhone or a phone image rather than a screen image.
Yeah, I switched just so I could check my settings
Oh,
on my computer,
oh.
but yeah, on my
So, and you
computer,
downloaded 5.2 or 5.7
I'm
is the latest.
That Zoom.
um yeah, I'm fully updated. I have, yeah, I'm 5.7.1 and I'm up
And
to date.
how old is your computer? What vintage Windows?
It's like 4 or 5 years old.
Why don't, are you, you're a build coach. After the breakout, or why don't you come out of your breakout room in the middle of whatever, and you and I can talk through it while the rest of everybody's doing their breakout thing.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, Valeria.
Yes, and I had a question. So I'm a social coach, and I think I joined a little early. So right now, what we're gonna do is join in breakouts and assign roles. So the social coaches don't need to stay back.
No, you are all going into the room together because you're going to be build coaches and social coaches. These are your breakout rooms for the week. You will be in the rooms that you're going to be in the rooms with the campers. And the campers aren't there today, but they will be there tomorrow and then Monday. And so what you're going to do is decide who's going to do which of the different tasks that need to be done during the weeks, who's going to be assigned to those.
Okay.
And then you'll come back to the main group and we'll talk through social coach issues.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Joanne. You're on mute still. Let's see, you're still muted. Let's try it again.
Sorry, I was
There
trying
we
to
go.
use the space bar. I am not sure I've got the link to all the training folders on Google Doc. I see that you sent a link.
Uh-huh.
Was that the one that says docs, google.com presentation, et cetera, et cetera?
No, it would have been something that you got in a document from Do Not Reply at cscdresearch.org that's called Countdown to Camp 2.
Okay, I'll look for it there.
Look for it in there. It might, I'm pretty sure it's in there. There is
Okay.
probably some links to training in there.
All right, thanks.
Mahika.
Hi, this question was already asked in the chat by Ashlyn, but I'm just going to repeat it. So actually on the slides where we distribute responsibilities, one of them is the Friday orientation Qualcomm slides, but last week it was actually done in the main room. So are you still planning to do it in the main room, or are we going to do it in breakout rooms this time?
What did it look like? I didn't really pay close attention when I was showing you the schedule thing. What did it say there? Because what I did is had Suzanne go in and update the schedule to.
In the schedule legend, it shows it as pink, as instructor led.
Okay, so that that to me, so again, back to, we were talking earlier about somebody asked the question or has made the comment in the past about the fact that sometimes we deviate from the schedule in who presents what. And sometimes things that are showing that should have been presented in the breakout room end up getting presented in the main room. And some of the reason for that is there's a large variation in terms of how far some of the breakout rooms get in covering some of the content. And so if we do allocate like content to be done in a breakout room and only half of the breakout rooms get it done, then we may have to repeat that the next morning in the larger group, or vice versa. We may have to say, we don't have enough time to cover this in the larger group and do it in depth in the breakout group. So you're going to end up presenting the content in the breakout room. But you would have anything that you would be presenting, you would have the links to. Right now, in terms of the Friday morning, that was where they talked about what needed to go on to Flipgrid and that kind of stuff. Mahika, is that what you're talking about?
I believe it was the IoT and history of Qualcomm.
Oh, that's all Orient. Oh, you're talking about this Friday. I'm thinking you're talking about next Friday. Oh, no. All you're going to end up having to cover, I will do the quality, the Qualcomm stuff tomorrow.
Okay, yeah.
You will not have to do that in the breakout rooms. We will do that as a group, and then you'll go into breakouts with your groups, with your various breakout rooms. And you will work through, and we'll go through this in the social coach training right after we do the togetherness part in the middle here. We'll go through those slides, and I'll share with you where those slides are for you to be able to do that tomorrow. Sorry.
No problem. Thank you, Dr.
Listen
Newman.
more carefully. Sorry. Okay.
Thank you.
I think we're good to try and go into breakout rooms. Let me make sure I let everybody in before I tell them that they're going into breakout rooms.